Jungle Inferno is arguably the biggest Team Fortress 2 update ever released to the game. It took the TF dev team almost a year to release after its last major shit show of an update, Meet Your Match. Jungle Inferno was supposed to not only be a jungle-like content pack, a massive weapons balancing patch, a massive overhaul to how contracts were handled in a new campaign, but also an update for the Pyro specifically. The update was destined for failure and disappointment thanks to the hype culture surrounding it, and an untrusting and unfaithful fanbase created from the sad trombone of an update that was Meet Your Match. But surprisingly to everyone, the update was pretty good. Of course, there were those who didn't want the update to be a success, and those who were telling everyone to lower their expectations to nearly nothing so that the update couldn't be plugged with even more hype and higher expectations of a horribly undersized dev team. But in the end, the update did its best, and it was so much better than the major update before it. However, with the recent Blue Moon update fixing things in TF2 that were either caused or ignored by Jungle Inferno, was the update as good as we initially saw it, or was our hype and varying expectations clouding our judgment? I don't know. Watch the rest of the video to find out. Or skip to the end. No, wait, don't actually do that. A week before the update dropped, the Team Fortress 2 dev team added a link to a site on their blog post page that counted down the days till the Jungle Inferno update's release, with each day giving fans a little more sneak peeks into what will be in store for them in the coming times. This site harkened back to how old TF2 dev teams hyped up and marketed major updates, like the Sniper vs. Spy update, for example. On paper, this site should have been the best way to spark up interest in TF2 again, and in most ways it did, but truly in execution, the site ran about as well as Payday 2 on most PCs. Although by design the site did its job, days were released very inconsistently, with even one day not being released until almost 7 PM Western Standard Time. Keep in mind that this meant that days weren't released until 9 o'clock or later for everyone outside the West Coast. This site's irregular and inconsistent releases made some fans, including myself, a little skeptical of Jungle Inferno's quality once it was released. But a day after Day 4 on the site was released, it happened. Like the Team Fortress equivalent of Half-Life 3, the infamous Pyro Jungle update was released to the world on the 20th of October, 2017, just 11 days shy of Halloween that year. The TF2 community pretty much all collectively creamed so hard that it caused the TF2 servers to shit themselves for 4 hours after the update dropped. No, seriously. There were more people logging on to TF2 than I'd ever seen before. It was like TF2 had gone free to play all over again. It was the first time in years I had consistently seen over 15 people on my friends list playing TF2 at one time. Seeing this was best described as heartwarming, but that warmth almost immediately miscarried once myself and everyone else realized that, with the new free Pyro contract being the only way to get the new toys for the Flame Fighter Furry, a massive problem arose. Everyone was playing Pyro, and it wasn't fun. Believe it or not, the Pyro actually almost ruined the Pyro update.
Ironic.
It doesn't help that the first weapons everyone got in the contract was so OP, I swear it violates the Geneva Conventions. Speaking of toys, there was a total of 5 new weapons added to the game, that being the Heavy Second Banana, a phallic-shaped side grade to the sandwich that has many people using it over the OG lunch item, the Gas Passer, an item that creates an interesting new playstyle for the Pyro that I swear German predicted almost 4 years ago.
So my original item idea for the Pyro is a grease gun. You could cover somebody in the grease and it would have the same type of Mad Milk or Girardi effect where it was just dripping off their body, so you could still find spies that way, and maybe it did like mini crits if you hit somebody with a flare gun after that to do a little bit more damage. I'm not sure, but I think the grease effect is a different mechanic they could put in the game. That's not like anything we've seen so far.
Also, if we're working with Girardi logic, then the Pyro... Oh god. Anyways, the Thermal Thruster, a jetpack that everyone thought would break the game and be overused as shit, that actually turned out to be pretty crap and an underpowered item that I barely see get used anymore.
Hey, it's starting.
The Hot Hand, a slappy boy that is just as underpowered and as useless as half the other Pyro melees, and finally the Dragon's Fury, possibly the most overpowered weapon that took so much enjoyment out of the game for me that I actually took a break from TF2 because of it. Luckily, it was recently given a nice nerf to lower its use to only those who just got it through a contract. But not only were new weapons added, many other older weapons were given major tweaks and reworks, whether necessary or not. Honestly, I believe the TF team went a little overboard with all the weapon changes added to the game, with some of the fixes seeming like they were only done out of the devs' personal gripes with them. A good example is with the Sandman Guillotine combo being taken out of the game, and the Ambassador initially being nerfed into uselessness. Both these playstyles heavily rewarded those who practiced and perfected it, while punishing the more reckless. Whether it felt cheap or not, when an ambi spy 360 no-scoped you from across the map while screaming "Mom, get the camera," you have to admit to yourself that he must have had to practice for ages to perfect the aim, timing, and pacing of his shots to be able to do that. That's what made TF2 into such an enjoyable and long-lasting game. Our interesting playstyles that heavily reward good amounts of practice and skill, while not being too punishing with incompetence. The Ambassador's initial nerf state and the Sandman Guillotine combo being removed was as if a part of TF2 was now missing, like if suddenly it couldn't rocket jump anymore, or Gibbs players weren't clueless anymore.
Wow, what an original joke, Krim! Now that's what I subbed for!
Now there's whole parts of the community who can't play the way that they want to play anymore. Another good example is how they nerfed the reserve shooter while reworking the way that Air Blast functioned. I argue that the reserve shooter was already getting an indirect nerf with Air Blast now not being an instant launch everyone into space mechanic. But now it's too situational to even be useful, reduced to a crappy hard counter to the thermal thruster and a shotgun for the fastest hand in the south. I remember the hype moments I used to have with myself when I managed to kill someone with a reserve shooter as a soldier using good timing and blast knockback combos, but now it's not really possible anymore. It's just another part of TF2 missing, not really a problem that needed solving. But other than those three things, the rest of the nerfs and buffs were well deserved and well needed. Looking at you guys. I just hope the TF team reconsiders some of the changes that were made eventually. They probably won't. They'll wait years to fix weapons either so OP it's practically unfair, or weapons so underpowered that it's basically wasted space. Oh, but something like pins on a hat that was just added?
Ah, fuck, fam, we gotta fix that shit yesterday!
Due to negative feelings towards how weapon skins worked previously, the TF team created a new and fairly unique system known as War Paints, where a player is rewarded with a skin that they can apply to a list of weapons of their own choosing, which fixed this massive problem and made War Paints much more rewarding than normal weapon skins. With this new system in place, many new War Paint collections were added alongside 2 semi-decent cosmetic cases. Needless to say, War Paints were definitely one of the more positive additions to the update.
Oh yeah, and now there's also a bunch of weapons that can add skins. It's not just stock weapons anymore.
The maps added in this update were one of the more less strong parts of Jungle Inferno, ranging from semi-fun at times to being less enjoyable to play than attaching power jumper cables to your eyelids while riding a motorbike during a motocross rally. Such as the last point on Mercenary Park, which is such a bad choke point that 2 fort stalemates are more tolerable. But I'd say that the best map added in this update would have to be Banana Bay, since it's probably the closest thing we'll ever get to a finished Cactus Canyon. I fairly enjoyed it. Alongside those, we also got Brazil and Lazarus, 2 King of the Hill maps that weren't absolutely terrible, so that's good. But out of the 2, I'd say Lazarus is the better designed map with less open areas being much easier to understand when first playing. Finally, we have Enclosure, the current title holder for biggest map in TF2. And Moss Rock, a map I'm sure no one is playing anymore. What makes these maps so different and interesting compared to others is depth with new colors and settings that we've never seen in official TF2 maps before. The lush greens and the exotic sunshine with the tropic trees and different aesthetics are a stark contrast to TF2's usual deserts and howling ghost towns and vast dust bowls, with the only colors being shown are those of sand, a hot beating sun, dead plants, and old wooden abandoned buildings. Now, of course, there was always outliers, like Sawmill's more west coast weather and greenery, the last point of Dust Bowl, Gorge, and Sujwin looking like a weeaboo's paradise. But we never previously got maps with a jungle or tropic aesthetic, so getting a whole pack of them in one update was a very welcome addition. Wait, didn't I start this point out being negative? After Jungle Inferno dropped, this was probably the most active we'd seen the TF team in a long time, with them dropping a Halloween update soon after Jungle Inferno, and dropping a Smithmas update a week after Christmas.
Making me look like an impatient dumb shit.
Then, after that, it only took the TF team another 3 months before suddenly dropping a surprise update on us, that being the Blue Moon update. Blue Moon finally fixed many problems that were created way back in Meet Your Match almost 2 years ago,
Jesus fucking Christ, 2 years ago?
with making competitive mode work more like CSGO's comp does, which is long overdue. And a cosmetic case that possibly has one of the best selection of cosmetics in recent history.
And I'm not just saying that because of JoJo hat.
Plus, the Dragon's Fury got absolutely neutered, which is possibly the best part of this update. Additionally, the Extinguisher finally was made useful again with a little nod to the late old-school Puff and Sting master Sketchic. And finally, they completely fixed the flamethrower's particles that have been broken since TF2's release. It was an okay update, it was nothing special.
What is wrong with me?
Jungle Inferno wasn't perfect, and it was pretty rough around the edges, but most can agree it was still worth waiting almost a year for. Thankfully, it wasn't the update that killed TF2 like everyone said it would. This update not only sparked interest in TF2 again, but now has led the community out of the darkness it fell into from Meet Your Match, and a blue moon only lighting the way for a better future for TF2.
Wow, that was fucking corny.
Woo! Alright, my Jungle Inferno video. I'm actually thinking of making this like a video series, like I do retrospectives on other updates. Like, do you guys want to see that? Probably don't, but, you know, tell me in the comments if you do. And if you do want to see me do a retrospective on another update, put down in the comments below which update you want me to do. I might do them, I might not. I might just make another ×1 video. You don't know. I'm just that unpredictable. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya! Oh, God!